Welcome to a special little Friday edition of Automation Ladies. We're on site here in San Antonio, Texas at the AHTD spring meeting. And the AHTD is the Association for High Technology Distribution. If you guys didn't know, it's a group or a membership organization for distributors and manufacturers in the industrial automation space. I've been going, this is my fourth meeting that I've gone to. And this was really nice. I didn't have to fly. I got to drive a little bit, especially with all the trips coming up that Allie and I have to Nashville, to the Assembly Show South, and then to Chicago for Automate. And I'm actually getting to stay till tomorrow. There's a final night party going on tonight. So this is not quite over, but the main programming is over. And I think that this is one of my favorite events that I get to go to. Similarly to the A3 forum, it's very much a high-level business meeting with a lot of great speakers. And this was Allie's first time attending. And we thought we'd do a little recap for those of you that are not here for, some of the main points that we got to hear. And then to encourage everybody, if you're in this space, whether you're a manufacturer that works with the distribution channel or you're a high-tech automation distributor, if you haven't checked out AHTD for membership, hit us up if you have any questions. You can also come to one of these meetings to kind of check it out and see if the association is something great for you. But Allie, and our guest today is Roman. I pulled Roman onto Automation Ladies. It's been a long time coming. We'll do a real episode.
First time.
Yeah, we'll do a real episode with him soon, just in terms of our normal interview. I would love to be able to, for our audience to kind of hear your story. How QuoteBeam came to be on all of that. But yeah, we pulled him in to get some of his insights from the meeting today. But I'm going to start by asking Allie, because this is her first time. And I kind of pulled her into this, and she's like, yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going, but I'm going somewhere. So what did you think of the AHTD meeting?
Yeah, no, I didn't know what I was getting into, but I trust Nikki, and it was extremely informative. I think anyone in our industry, whether you're an integrator or a manufacturer, needs to be part of this association. And they need to come to this show. And I will come to this show again, for sure. So
very cool. Although I guess we typically call it more of a meeting because there is a little bit of a show component. So QuoteBeam is actually a strategic business partner to the AHTD community, which means that we provide a service that's tailored specifically for this industry. And the distributors. And there are little tables that we get to kind of have outside the main meetings, but it's not a trade show. So there was the vendor
trade show feeling, but
yeah. It has one of the events is like a 3-hour trade show floor thing. They call it the vendor showcase. And mostly it's a lot of the manufacturers get a lot of their cool new products shipped in to get to show to their distributors all in one place instead of having to take it out, all over the country. And so you get to see a lot of the new stuff that the manufacturers are working with. In addition to if manufacturers are looking for new distributors, they can kind of, showcase themselves and that sort of thing. So QuoteBeam, we had for the first time this year, a booth or a table at the vendor showcase, showcasing our new product, Sales Pilot. I wasn't actually going to start with that, but now that I'm talking about it,
that's right.
Roman, do you want to tell us a little bit about what is Sales Pilot?
Yes, absolutely. So Sales Pilot is, and you can think of it as your best employee in the company, knows everything about the customers, has all the data, does all the quotes, closes the orders, and makes your customers coming back. So that's the funny version of it. What it really is, it's an intelligent online platform, and I stopped short of calling it an e-commerce or online store because it's so much more. It's designed. It is intelligent because it knows who the customers are. This is one of the things that we're introducing is converting what's called online public space. When the customer comes to the website doesn't know who the customer is, so always displays the same content. And now we're converting this to online private space because we know who the customers are. We know what content we should be presenting to them. So it's filled with artificial intelligence. There's a number of machine learning algorithms that we've been training for the past 1.5 years. And we started surfacing that data, make it smart, make it intelligent. And if you're a customer, you really don't want to see what's not relevant to you.
Right.
You want to see things that are relevant to you, to your line of business. And one really cool thing that we have seen from early adopters of Sales Pilot, it creates 2,000% increase in customer engagement. And yeah, I didn't get the wrong.
That's a lot.
It is a huge improvement.
Why do you think that is? Is that because all of a sudden it's not just a static website that kind of, you have information, you might be able to buy something, or in my case, I've struggled a lot with this. I think everybody that I've talked to knows going to distributors' websites, finding something that I want, and then being told I can't buy it because I'm not, like when I get to the checkout or it doesn't actually work. That's, at least in my experience, is that what kind of engagement you're talking about? Or you mean orders specifically, or?
I think there are a number of elements that contribute to that. So first, let me start off with saying that there's a common misconception of what a website's supposed to do. So for a lot of distributors, they put a website, or manufacturing companies, they put a website and they designed it in a way that they try to sell the customer something right away. They're trying to tell them how great of a company they are, even though they are. They're trying to show their main manufacturing brands, all their value-add services that they provide. What the website really needs to do when the customer comes to them first time is not to try to sell you on anything, not to show how big of a company is, how many locations you have. Your website's job is to convince the user to stay on that website and continue scrolling. And you have about 7 seconds to do that. So the first element is what we call the hero section. And when a customer comes to a website, there are two most common entry points. The first one is your homepage.
Mm-hmm.
So that hero image is extremely important. And the second one is your individual product pages. This is usually traffic that's coming from your SEO, from your Google search. So the information that needs to be on the product page needs to be relevant. And it's not just the product data. It needs to be, is it in stock? What's the condition? That's something that surprises us, but the data show that the customer wants to reinforce the feeling that this is a brand new product. This is not used. This is not refurbished. And on the website, that's where we get into product content. You have a hero section, but there's a different content that should be displayed, whether you are a business owner or a buyer or an engineer. So the engagement comes from number one, creating that relevant content to the user, and second is building credibility. Once you convince the user to stay on the website, your next task is to build the credibility. The customer's gonna stay there, and they're gonna scroll, and they're gonna look at your website. And throughout that entire time, you are building credibility. And there's a number of elements that add up to this credibility. And there's a number of elements that take away from that credibility. So we have spent past 2 years running our own marketplace, our own e-commerce, and all these learnings, all these little failures that we have had, and fixes that we have implemented, improvements. We have packaged all that. We took everything that's best from our marketplace, and we put that into Sales Pilot.
It reminds me of a presentation we had this morning. It was actually on burnout, but he said, let failure be your fuel, because you really can't be, an innovative organization if you don't embrace a little bit and learn from failures. But in this case, we're kind of here in this community learning from the failures so that our fellow, that the distributors in the community don't have to do it by themselves, right?
That's right. And one additional thing is that nobody ever learned from being perfect.
Yeah.
You learn from making mistakes, and you learn them. You understand what went wrong, and you fix them. And we still learning, and we will continuously learn. We always try to we strive for perfection, knowing that we're never gonna get there. And it's not because we don't try hard enough. It's because that bar for perfection continuously moves. whatever we consider perfect today is going to be different, tomorrow. And that's one of my two major takeaways from this association meeting. And let me start saying that AHTD delivers. And this is my third time that I joined this conference, this members meeting, and every time between the different sessions, speakers, the community comes here, the networking events, it's just incredible.
Yeah, shout out to Leah and Mara from AHTD. They put on a fantastic event. Go ahead. Sorry.
So I had two main takeaways from this meeting. The first one was advancement in technology. Over the past year, especially past year, we have seen technology growing so fast between artificial intelligence, OpenAI, ChatGPT. We have seen number of different APIs being created between different companies, different application systems. We have seen newcomers coming to ERP space, CRM space. These are modern companies. They create, I would say, much better user experience. And that advancement in technology creates a shift in customer behavioral patterns.
Yeah.
And that was actually one of the sessions I really liked was about artificial being AI leader. And Nancy Gordano, she put out the quote, and she said that meet my needs exactly when I need them. And that is extremely important because that kind of puts an end to what we know as a traditional lead generation.
Yeah.
Some call them sales qualified leads. But now we have one extra element that's tied to it, and that's time element, which means that if you don't respond to this right away, that lead is no longer qualified.
That's true. If you go to a trade show and you get your badge scanned and you might be interested when finally somebody, well, you get spammed right away with follow-up, that's for sure. But somebody reaching out to you to specifically, address your need usually takes a while if it ever gets to the right person. And then by the time they call you, it's probably not the right time anymore. I know this happened to me a lot. I go to shows and stuff, but it's hard, that time element, right? If it's so asynchronous and it has to go through so many different channels before it makes it to somebody that then, makes that call. But yeah, I know we all expect, like Allie and I, we buy way too much stuff on Amazon. Not because we love Amazon as an organization, but because it's just so darn convenient. Like,
yeah.
So how do we compete with that in this industry? I mean, we're never going to turn into Amazon, and we shouldn't.
That's right. So as I mentioned before, there's a couple of elements, right? So we have a behavioral patterns changes for users. Users obviously want to interact with distributors, with manufacturing brands differently. It's more of a online. There's much more time pressure.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be called 2 weeks later. Or even 2 days later, if you call somebody back, they probably don't even remember who you are and why they contacted you. But it really starts with basics. And the basics is you have product, somebody wants to buy it, take their money.
Yeah.
Make it easy for them to buy it. So your website should not be lead generation website. If you have stock, you have price, the customer should be able to just go in and make that purchase.
What if it's something that's highly engineered or configurable? It's not just somebody looking for in stock, I need something. Then it's kind of like it's like, call us,
That's right.
But when you do business with a business in other spaces that aren't digital, they don't just offer you only one option. Like, you're a restaurant and they bring out the dessert tray. They're like, pick one of these. That's all we have. Industrial distributors are not like that. They have thousands of products they can sell you and configure for your application. But that's very different from picking from what is right there on the shelf, right?
That's right. So we see commonly two options that customers have. Email us, and usually it's a sales at email address,
Mm-hmm.
or give us a call. Now let's start with the calls. If you really want to know how often people call, look at your wireless bill
Mm-hmm.
from 10 years ago. see how many calls you have made 10 years ago, compare it to how many calls you made today, and it will give you an idea how much people love making phone calls.
I think the younger people skew, the less likely they are to want to talk to anyone on the phone.
That's right. Plus they may not even have a phone bill from 10 years ago.
Right.
The second one is emails. Emails actually usually go into general mailbox and not going to a specific person. And distributors not distributors, every company in sales is struggling with keeping up with these emails. Where you're going to see that, okay, for some companies, it might take up to 6 hours or even 2 days to get into that email. The emails go as in the FIFO method, first in, first out.
Yeah.
So, if you send an email, you might get a response maybe in 6 hours, depends on the time of the day, maybe tomorrow. But you have that question right at this moment. Remember, meet my needs exactly when I need them. So there's already technology out there. It's an online chat. And some companies start implementing it. It's actually creating a very bad experience because I'm sure everybody done it. You go to one of those chats and start chatting, and then you start, typing, hello, anybody there? Hello, hello. There's just nobody there. And it's not because companies don't want to support the customer. It's because they don't know that there is a chat. So as an example, every company has a phone system in a company because they ask you to call them. Right. And the question is, why do people answer, and the people in the office, why do answer the call?
Because the phone's ringing, right? You're used to that. It's like Pavlovian response. Phone rings, you pick it up.
Because they want it to stop ringing.
Yeah, right?
Yes. So now the challenge with online chats is, you will adopt some third-party solution, could be Zendesk, Intercom, Chatly, or Crisp. There's a number of these solutions. And the notification goes in a couple ways. You can get a little browser notification that is going to move into the screen. It will disappear after 2 seconds. You can get a little ding, but most of the agents don't have speakers. They use desktop computers. They don't have speakers, so they can't hear it. They might be distracted looking somewhere else. They won't see this comes in. They can push notification to your phone. Most of the inside sales and customer service agents, they don't have company phones, and they will refuse to put that app onto their own personal phone. So they don't know about this notification. And there's another common problem. Even if they do see it, everybody thinks that somebody else is going to do it, and nobody does. So that is one of the biggest challenges, which we actually, during this meeting, this was the first time that we have really introduced a prototype of something that takes care of this problem. We call it the Chat Tower. It's right now it's a very prototype. We display that in our showcase. It's a light tower of 3 lights. It's connected to the website through a wireless device. And now actually can freely speak about this.
Right. So we had a little snafu, or not snafu, but you posted. I reposted your video, and then I got a message from you to take it down. And I didn't know, if there was something in there I had screwed up. We made a little joke, and I was like, I make all kinds of jokes, right?
So good. We just not we weren't ready for it yet, but we figured out in just one day we got it out there. We actually have a patent.
I was about to say, if we can say it now, the reason was that we had a patent application pending, right?
We have a patent pending for the solution, and what it does is that when this message comes through, one of the lights will turn on, and you can configure this whichever way you want. And it tells the agent in a non-intrusive way that there's a message waiting. And if, as soon as one of the agents picks up that message, starts responding to the customer, that light goes out. So, everybody knows that somebody else took it. Within 30 seconds, it will start blinking. After 2 minutes, it can turn red. But keep in mind that after 2 minutes, if you don't respond, that customer's gone.
Right.
We expanded that into quotation requests. So a Sales Pilot is actually a great tool to create a great customer experience when it comes to quotes. It also helps agents to create these quotes in a matter of 1 or 2 minutes.
Because I know I've been on a chat on a website and asked for a quote, and then they told me to email them.
That's right.
And then I had to wait like a day to get the quote after I sent them an email. And I'm like, what's the point of that? I just told you what I would like a quote for in the chat.
That's right. This is what it comes to ease of use, simplicity, convenience.
Yeah.
So we about 2 years ago, we actually switched from a third-party solution. We were using one of those common chat platforms, and we decided to build our own. And that was one of the best decisions we have made. The reason why is because it integrates directly with our system.
Yeah.
What it means that we can push product information through the chat, so the customer can see which product we're talking about. We can push quotations through the chat. So if the customer asks for quotes, they're chatting with the agent. They can push that quote, and they can place the order. They can press the button and place the order directly, without calling anybody, without emailing anybody, without sending credit cards over the telephone. That's the old school.
Not calling someone is the future. People don't want to do that.
But to the point though, there are some people that want to call, and there's some people that are always going to want to call. And I think in that sense, the phone isn't going away, but you do need to normalize the chat as kind of the same thing as the phone, right? When somebody calls, hopefully you pick up, or maybe you have, if it's after hours or something, the menu for sales, press 1 for blah, blah, blah. People like to just have a person on the phone as soon as you call. They hate the phone tree.
Yes.
I know I do. But you have somebody that may not know all the answers, but they know where to direct the person.
Yeah.
And a good phone call experience with a vendor or a distributor or whatever, in my experience, is when someone actually picks up, they direct you to the right person, then that person picks up and hopefully has some context as to why they're picking up, and not just you start all over again.
Yes.
And then they ask you some information, they get to know, how they can help you, and they answer your questions. And then they either give you the price or they give you an action item and a follow-up, right? Oh, I need to get with our application engineer. We'll have them get back to you, or should we schedule a meeting, whatever. I don't necessarily expect everything to be completed in that one phone call, but I know that the person on the other end of the line generally will give me some idea of what's going to happen next.
Yep.
But the online space is so disconnected. You just send the email and then you're like, well, I hope I hear back. I have no idea when. I have no idea where or how I'm going to get information back.
That's right.
But I want that experience. I mean, the phone has its drawbacks, but at the same time, that is kind of the experience that I want. But I want it without talking to anybody.
That's right. So that was my first takeaway. The first takeaway is change from static product content pages, website that just display product content, because even it's a great product content by itself is not going to engage the customer.
Yeah.
Switching to dynamic websites that create great customer experience. And another thing is a lot of websites, obviously understanding who the customer is important when you do a quote or something else. And a lot of website will ask the user to create an account.
Mm-hmm.
And then they will send that list, long, 2 pages long, of all the information, your name, last name, company name, email address, your shipping address, your billing address, your salutation. There's many different crazy things that we have seen. And if you really want to engage with a customer, you have to shrink it down.
Okay.
Few things: email address, company name, and there's a data intelligence behind it, that can enrich the customer data, and that's what we do with Sales Pilot. So the point is that big shift from static websites to intelligent websites. The second takeaway is, and that's from discussions that I had with many distributors, manufacturing companies, is recruitment and retainment of personnel.
talent, right?
of the talent, especially when it comes to inside sales and customer service. Their jobs are not exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything's so manual. You receive an order in the email. You need to print this. You have to copy paste into your ERP system. You have to manually send them order confirmation. The customer will come back to you and say, "What's the status? Can I see when this is gonna ship?" So these are not fun things. If I was one of those employees, I probably would hate my job, and that's the feedback from a lot of them. They just not super excited about that. So distributors or companies are having hard time finding this talent and then retaining them, keeping them there, making them happy in their jobs. So and it kind of goes back to technology. It's when you create a platform, let's say online platform, it's not just to make it easy for your customer. It's also to make it easy for your team.
Yeah.
So it's connecting all the different business applications. Your ERP has to be connected with your online store, online e-commerce system. Your CRM is super important. I think a lot of distributors or manufacturing companies are underestimating the importance of CRM system.
Okay.
CRM system is there to re-engage with your customers.
Okay, so for anyone watching, if you're not in the sales or in that world, more in the engineering, and you don't know, CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. It's like a database, but then allows you to keep track of the context of how you've worked with people. You see their orders, all this kind of stuff, right? Yeah, this brings there was a presentation this morning. Allie missed it, but about burnout, and this is actually probably at least the second conference I've been to where there's been a presentation addressing burnout. And the gentleman this morning, it made a really good point that the factors that really cause that are, people are not resilient enough to handle the stresses of work. And there's a lot of them now, and everybody is overworked, and having to spend time on things they hate doing causes burnout. And so the ways that he suggested that organizations can help address this with employees is to talk to them and find out what is it that you absolutely hate doing in your job in the day. And the more things they have to do that they hate doing, the more likely they are to completely lose interest in the work and experience burnout. And then the suggestion was to, what do you hate doing? What can you tolerate doing? And what do you love doing? And most people that are resilient to burnout are resilient because they're actually doing something that they love, or they have this passion or purpose for their job. And I think a lot of us in this industry and in, customer service and inside sales, we're passionate about helping our customers. We're not passionate about doing busy work.
That's right.
Or having systems that make it hard for us to make our customers happy. I mean, I remember as a sales engineer, anytime an internal issue caused my customer a problem, that caused me a problem, because I'm ultimately responsible for my customers' success and happiness. And when the system behind me makes it hard, it makes it so much harder for me to do my job. And their suggestion was, okay, talk to your people, find out what are those things that they hate doing and try to get rid of them. If they can tolerate doing them, try to let them do less of that and try to get them to let them do as much of what they love as possible, because that keeps people engaged, that keeps the energy high, keeps people around. And I would be surprised, I think I would be right to say that some big percentage of the things that people hate in their jobs are these manual tasks that take up time away from customer service, away from all the value add activities. And those we can automate to make people actually stick around or want to do these jobs more.
That's right.
Or stop the people that are doing them from burning out. So that was one of my takeaways, actually. I thought that was a really good session. I've seen a lot of burnout sessions before, and each one of them kind of gives me a little tip. But I thought about that because, Alia, we were just talking about that, right? Having Liza help, because she's helped you find out which tasks you should be outsourcing, right?
Oh yeah,
because
there was the whole quadrant, and just like that, what do you hate? And I'm like, all this, all this, all this, all this. And then it ended up with very little of the stuff that I do love. But yeah, we definitely offloaded a ton of the stuff that I hate. And that has a lot helped me. Because you saying that, because I missed the presentation on burnout, but you saying that doing stuff you hate definitely got me to the burnout that I'm in right now. So this is good.
Yeah, so the
Good
sessions,
information.
there's sessions from all, different, like they do a really good job of getting speakers that give you both practical information, kind of like technical information, future looking information. We always love the ITR economics update. That one, today, the biggest takeaway is still for anybody under 40, they say to procreate because we need to grow our workforce.
Have babies.
And then he said, have your kids go into STEM disciplines because that is what is going to be recession proof. We're going to keep having to make things in this country. And, our neighbors up north and in south in Mexico, Canada are also growing in terms of manufacturing. I mean, this industry is growing and it's going to stay growing with, of course, some cyclical up and downs. But what we need is the workforce, and we need to be able to attract them from other industries or retain them here. And that's a topic that gets talked about a lot on our show, on our friend Megan's show with Mavens of Manufacturing, with manufacturing culture podcasts. That's a lot of the discussion now is around the workforce. And I think it's because it is one of the biggest topics and challenges for CEOs right now. There's economic conditions, there's interest rates and inflation, and workforce challenges. Right?
How do you keep your people from leaving? Because it is now the workers' market.
Yeah.
Right. So you will get your people stolen if you do not treat them right. They will go find another job.
That's right.
Absolutely. Mara also made a good point today about LinkedIn. Having a LinkedIn presence for your company can be great at attracting customers, but you really, in a big way, are advertising yourself and your culture and your company to your prospective employees, to the workforce. Because when there is a limited pool, you have to have something better than your competitor, and your competitor is another company that's trying to hire the same type of people. And I would say, how about companies' websites when it comes to making a good impression to people that might want to work there? It's about attracting customers, but you need to kind of present your whole company, everything that's great about your company, right? Out there, whether it's at trade shows or on the website or wherever else. Talking about AI, the AI presentation was really interesting. I think at this point, we all know that the AI is coming for us real fast. We just don't know exactly what that looks like and where. So, Sales Pilot is implementing it in these specific instances where we found out it's really applicable. You mentioned something about it being your best employee and, taking orders and things like that. Do you mean that the chat is AI people, or are we talking about AI helping the people talk to customers on the website?
Chat is not AI people. Chat is, I don't believe that technology right now, especially automatic, like AI chat assistants, I don't believe those are going to be applicable, at least not in this industry.
Yeah.
They're getting better and better, but at some point, that you're not talking to a real person and you're going to get stuck.
You'll find out real fast, I think.
We have experimented with this and we did not have good results. And the bottom line is that people want to talk to people.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings another, element to it, is that this entire business, all these, system integrators, OEMs, distributors, manufacturers, this entire business has been built on relationships. There's a number of decisions that are being made are rational, but there's always emotional element to it.
Yeah.
And the minute you remove the emotional element to it, there's nothing really left. And the last couple of years put the strain on building those relationships.
Yeah.
The pandemic, the change, and again, advancement in technology, how fast you can find information. The number of Google searches between 2014 and 2024 in 10 years grew by 10x. There's much more people looking for information online, which kind of takes us away from meeting people in person.
Right.
It used to be very difficult to I'm an electrical engineer, right? So there's a lot of companies that in my old days always wanted to talk to me because I specify components. I make these decisions, so everybody wanted to talk to the engineers. It was difficult to get that meeting. Now it's even harder to get those meetings because engineers, procurement buyers, and other professionals, a lot of companies implemented hybrid workforce.
Mhm.
A lot of companies work remotely, and it's even more difficult to get hold of them, have a meeting. So we see this online space not just as a ability to provide the right content to the customer, but we see this online space as an opportunity to rebuild those relationships. But you have to do it right.
Yeah.
So if you implement AI assistant, you're not building relationship. We believe that online chats need to be supported by real people.
Yeah.
And we have done a study, reviewed the data, 1 year worth of data, and we look at all the orders that we have received through that 1 year, and we wanted to see if there is a common denominator between all these orders. Is there a pattern that connects all of them? And we found the first pattern. And the first pattern was there was a conversation, there was an online chat attached to every single one of these orders that was preceding that order. Most of the questions that there were is, can you confirm that you really have this part in stock? You would not believe how many people just don't trust what they see.
Yeah.
And then right after that, the order came through. And the other pattern that we have seen is that all these conversations, they were answered within 60 seconds, 1 minute.
Okay. Within 1 minute. Yeah.
I wouldn't wait more than 20 seconds, but the data shows 60 seconds. So it is extremely, it is very powerful. If a company can implement that correctly, it can provide enormous benefit, enormous growth, both from a revenue perspective and ability to connect with new customers. This is a great for meeting new customers, but you have to do it right. You have to have a real person answer that.
I'm curious from your perspective, Allie, as an engineer that specifies things, would you prefer to have a salesperson call on you, like come try to hawk you stuff, or for you to search for what you want and then get an answer if you want an answer?
And I think I can also answer for other people, but I think it depends on where you are in your career.
Yeah.
So if you're earlier on, you do want these people to come meet you because you're building those relationships. You already have those relationships and you kind of figured out where you're going to buy your stuff. You want to do all your stuff online because you're busy. So I think it just changes over time. If you're in your learning phase and you're absorbing, like you should probably be having phone calls and having meetings. And but now, like, I've never liked phone calls. I had to figure out how to like deal with that. As an engineer, I think most of us don't want to have a phone call, especially with a salesperson. And so yeah, if I know you have what I want and I can just chat with you, like that's just so much relief off of me. And then because I don't like the phone calls, and I do think that that's a common thing among other engineers or just introverted people that don't like unknown things, like just anxiety comes from like hearing the phone or knowing that there's a phone call coming gives me anxiety. And so
but if you start, let's say, chatting with someone, or like normally that's through email oftentimes, but
and
then you might want to schedule a time to meet with that person if you think they can educate you, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want to be bombarded like immediately with these urgency of having to like agree to something.
I definitely always want I never like just like on the spot.
Yeah.
Call me. Don't ever do that. Like, and actually, if you do really want to talk to me, that's definitely a huge thing for me is like, I will meet with people, but it has to be scheduled. If you want to talk to me right now, just because you felt like it, like that stresses me out. So if you say, I'm going to call you, if you text me that you're going to call me, I really appreciate that. Because then I know what's coming and I don't feel like, I'm in the middle of stuff and like now you want to talk and like, I don't even like answering the phone and telling you that like, I'm sorry, I'm busy, because I feel like that's even rude. So you're just putting all this social pressure on different types of people depending on how they are already naturally. So yes, I love that you can just have chat with someone, get everything you want right away. And yeah, you can totally like, if you would start, thank you so much, you guys saved me. And then, that becomes a thing. And you would want to know like that person and just meet with them eventually.
Yeah, because the personal connections are a big deal.
Oh yeah.
Certain things you need information quickly. You want things to be clear and accessible. But ultimately, like Roman said, you do business with people.
Oh yeah.
And, people can intuitively make suggestions and things like that AI probably never will. And this industry is very specific. and niche. And there's a lot of knowledge in the veterans and the people in the industry that they've known that's kind of intuitive, but there isn't a tool that knows that intuition. So like, I love it when I talk to a distributor and they're like, oh yeah, I talked to this guy. He's been in that application area for like 30 years. He knows exactly. And he can spec something on the spot that would take another person like 3 days to research. Right. But that's just kind of like this getting to the right person. And this group here, AHTD, is really full of those people.
Oh, yes.
And I think from our perspective is developing some product to help them. Like, it can't just be somebody from the outside going like, oh, this industry is so behind. I've got the genius idea that they never knew they needed, and I'm going to come in and sell it to them, right? I think they miss a lot of the complexities of what we do because it's not as straightforward as buying a lot of other things.
Right.
So I personally think that events like this, like just the conversations we have, we learn a ton. And if you see this and this is something that you have any thoughts about, either from a customer perspective, from a distributor perspective, Roman and I at least would love to hear them, because there is a very, nuanced way for this business to succeed for companies. And they generally do a lot more than sell parts. They do value add services and different things like that, but it's always about the context and the customer. And it's not a one size fits all. So finding a way to make the future work for us in this industry. And I think there's a reason why we're kind of laggards in some technology areas. It's not because we're not high tech people. I mean, it's called the High Tech Associate, the Association for High Tech Distribution, because the stuff we work on is super high tech. But the high tech is built by people. And that's what the conferences like this are about. Also great speakers with great stories. There was a Navy SEAL that, although, it wasn't necessarily like practical advice, it was just one of those things, especially for me and Allie, it resonated to me that like when you make some sort of commitment that you're really passionate about, you don't just quit even when it gets hard. His point, and this was of course way more severe than what we do, but was like, I'm not quitting, I'm leaving here in a body bag if I have to quit. And I think sometimes when we're building products or trying to solve really hard challenges, sometimes you get to that point many times where like, man, it would be easier to just quit now.
Why are we doing this?
It's all about grit and resilience.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, especially when you're building a new business, building new product, there's a lot of things gonna go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, if you, I think there was
Like everything.
there was actually mentioned in one of the speakers today, and he said that if you are succeeding 95 to 98% of the time, you're not innovating.
That's true.
You just going with the status quo. You going safe. You're doing things that have been proven. You're not innovating. When you're innovating, that means that you're gonna fail, and failures could be disappointing. They can be depressing. They might have financial repercussions, and this is where you just need to keep going. You get up, you do it again. You learn something from that failure, and you do it again. So
yeah. Well, I think that is a good note to end, because that's very much what Automation Ladies' journey has been like. We want to actually address as well. We've been failing. I don't know, failing forward, failing up. Yeah. Hopefully not going down. Because as long as you don't quit, you ultimately don't fail, because you will eventually reach success.
that's right.
If you keep going, right? You learn from those failures, and they will eventually lead you to success of some kind, as long as you can weather the storm long enough. And so yesterday we had a glitch, the live that was with Courtney and Steve Femster at Sanitary Welding. And Steve, sorry if I mispronounced your name. We're going to redo that episode probably, because it did not stream on LinkedIn. And obviously that's our main platform. Most of you guys, if you're watching, you're connected with us on LinkedIn. Our streaming platform had a glitch that we couldn't do anything about. So there is a link in the recording or in the event from yesterday in the comments to the recording on YouTube. So you can still watch it. But I think, Steve, if you see this, we'll redo that interview, because I also, we were bummed to miss it, but we were double booked here at AHTD and we had a lot of stuff to do. So thank you everybody for joining us. If if you have any comments or thoughts about this afterwards, if you see this, please ping us. But otherwise, we're looking forward to, we've got a lot of events coming up. So we'll be in Nashville in a couple of weeks. We'll have a couple of robots and an Automation Ladies Lounge for anybody that wants to stop by and see us. And then we'll be at Automate in Chicago the week after that, doing interviews. We're going to be hanging out with Harding on the Tuesday in their booth. And there's, of course, a wonderful manufacturing happy hour on Tuesday as well, where we'll be hanging out with our friend Chris Lukey. So yeah, this is really, AHTD is a great community. And people come here and they network and they learn from each other and they share information. And I haven't heard from a single person that has joined this organization that they don't think it's worth it. So again, if you are in this space, especially if you're an industrial automation solutions provider or distributor, I would highly recommend that you join AHTD, and we hope to see you in October in Bellevue, which is going to be the AHTD fall meeting. So with that, we're headed out for a barbecue party here soon. So hopefully you have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.